So what do you say we spend a little time in the garden today? All right, all right, all right. You ever get confused? I know I do. Not only can people get confused, but plants can get confused too. See, it was about 10 days ago on a weekend, Saturday and Sunday, a couple weekends ago, we had some record high temperatures around here. It got up to 80, 81, maybe even 82 degrees, which is pretty warm for early March, late February, and our plants got confused. You see that right there? That's a confused collard. See that right there? That's some confused lacinato kale. Now, I've been growing collards and kale for quite a while, and I don't believe I've ever seen them bolt this early. Usually we're growing collards and kale on into May sometimes, but they got confused. So what happens is when plants experience a sudden change in temperatures, they get confused. It's just like this fall when it got really cold really early. It hurt the plants because they weren't adjusted to it, and they didn't take some of those cold temperatures like they would better, you know, in the middle of winter, because they weren't acclimated to it. And these plants certainly wasn't acclimated to 80-degree temperatures, and they just kind of had a fight or flight response and started bolting on us. And it wasn't just my collards. I've talked to several other people in this area, and they had the same thing happen, and they were confused, and their plants were confused too. And some people were asking me, well, can you just cut the blooms off there and will they keep growing? Well, not really. Once they start doing this, they're pretty much done. Now, you can harvest those leaves on the outside there, get what you can, but they're really not going to produce any more leaves. They're done, which is unfortunate because we had planned on these guys being here for a while. Those top bunch 2.0 collards and lacinato kale, but at least we enjoyed them while we had them. Over here now, this Blue Ridge kale hasn't bolted, which is interesting. So it appears to have not got as confused or confused at all like the other stuff, and it's still hanging in there. So we still got some kale, some of that Blue Ridge kale, but our lacinato kale for the most part is bolting, and all our collards are bolting. So we'll just have to harvest what we can and then probably get those guys out of here. Now, if we zoom back out a little bit and look at this plot as a whole, let's see what we got going on here. And you can see we got some empty spaces there we're going to take care of here in a little bit. We got our vulture beets here, which have been kind of just crawling along, but they're starting to kick up, starting to dry out a little bit. I've fertilized them some with some of our complete organic fertilizer, and they'll be taking off pretty soon. Right here, we had another bolting incident with our all top turnips. Harvested those, got those chopped into the soil there. We got our spinach here, which is just kind of crawling like the beets are. I don't know, I may have planted that stuff too close, but we'll just see. I'm not gonna do anything with that. Just gonna kind of leave it there, let it hang out, see what happens. Here's where we had our Brussels sprouts that we harvested on a past video. Got that cleaned up there. Obviously our bolted kale and collards. And over here is where we had our overwintered carrots. I've been in here, got all those out of here and got that cleaned up. And speaking of carrots, I want to give you a little conclusion on our carrot trials that we did this year. So we planted 4 varieties of carrots in here, and on our row by row garden show, we showed a lot of those varieties, even did some blind taste tests with them. So we grew Bolero, which is one I grow every year. It's always been my favorite variety. We grew the Yellow Bunch, which is my favorite yellow carrot variety. It's really, really easy to grow. And then the 2 new ones we grew was a purple one called Purple Elite, and then an orange one called Envy. So the Bolero and the Yellow Bunch perform well like they do every year. Just solid, solid varieties. The Purple Elite, I would say, is my most favorite purple carrot variety I've grown so far. I've grown quite a few of the darker or purple carrots, and I like Purple Elite the best. It did really well, and it was kind of early coming in. It got larger quicker than some of the other varieties. So Purple Elite is definitely here to stay. I really like that one. And as far as the orange carrots go, Like I said, Bolero's always been my favorite, but I believe Envy may have a slight edge on it. And we've heard this from some of our customers who grew Envy for the first time. It's just a really, really good producing carrot. It produces longer carrots. Bolero sometimes can be a little bit more stockier, but just really, really like the Envy. Seem to have a slightly sweeter flavor to it. And so while I'll probably still grow Bolero, I'm definitely gonna grow some Envy carrots next year. Really, really like that variety. So since carrots are gone, Brussels sprouts, turnips are gone, those collards, lacinato kale will be out of here pretty soon. We need to put something in these gaps. As far as our overall rotation goes, this plot here is getting sweet potatoes in a few months. We'll wait till it gets nice and hot before we plant our sweet potatoes. So until then, we need to put something here. And every year I end up with one of these plots like this that just kind of ends up being a hodgepodge plot. You got some things you've taken out of there, some things that are still going to be there a little while, and you just kind of filling in the gaps with, you know, whatever you think will grow halfway decent this time of year. So in some of those more narrow gaps, I'll probably throw a row or two of radishes in there. But for these wider spaces, like where there's carrots were, where there's Brussels sprouts were, I'm going to plant some English peas. Now, I don't have the best luck with English peas, and it could be me, but I blame it a lot on our weather down here. You see, English peas, or what some people call garden peas or sweet peas, they like a lot of kind of in-between or moderate weather. They don't like, you know, freezing, real cold temperatures. They don't like real hot temperatures. And down here, sometimes we don't get a lot of that moderate weather. We're getting some right now, but it doesn't always last for long. Last year, we just kind of skipped spring completely, and it just got really hot really quick. This year, we kind of skipped fall completely, got really cold really quick, and our English peas just did all right this fall. But I got some room here, so we're gonna give them a try. I'm planting this Mr. Big variety, which I've grown before. It's the biggest English pea variety I've seen, and as far as shelling the peas and you know, canning them, freezing them, putting them up like that, this is my favorite variety. I grew the Sugar Prince back in the fall. I really like that one. It makes smaller pods, but the pods are tender. You can eat the whole pod. These here, you don't want to eat the whole pod on these, but as far as shelling peas go, this is my favorite. So we're going to put a row of English peas right here where those carrots were. And we're going to put another row right here where those Brussels sprouts were. Mainline tubing to feed our drip system is already here, or still here. And so we just need to tie back into that with our drip tape and lay it back down. I pulled up the drip tape so I could cultivate there where I had some of that carried foliage still in the ground, and was chopping up some of that Brussels sprout debris. A lot of people ask, can you save the drip tape and reuse it? And certainly you can. I do that a lot out here in the Dream Garden with all these plots that are the same size. So some people like to roll it up when they're not using it. I like to fold it up. As I'm pulling it up, I just kind of fold up each line like that right there. And it makes it easy to unfold and lay it back down. So it's still got the row start on it, you can see there. Still got the row end on it somewhere there. So we just need to lay these lines back down because all the length is, row length is standardized out here in the Dream Garden. We won't use all 5 of those lines we pulled up. We'll save those others for somewhere else. But let's get those lines back down right here. And I'm not going to have to punch any more holes in our mainline tubing. I'm just going to use the existing holes that were there. You can see one right here. There's one right over there. But I'm not going to need all these holes. So there were 2 rows of carrots here, but I'm only going to plant 1 row of English peas. So I need to plug up these holes that I'm not going to use. And to do that, we use these little things here called Goof Plugs. They come on a little tree like this. And you just pluck them off that tree. And then just kind of push that in there like that till it pops. Well, that kind of plugs that hole there. So we can still reuse this main line. And if we do later decide to come in here and use this hole for a line right here, we can take some pliers, pop that out, and plug our row start back in and use that again. So that's the good thing about this mainline tubing here. You can plug the holes and reuse it for quite a while. A lot of times I don't start to use a new piece of main line until it's just patched up all along here. I reuse this stuff over and over and over again. And then for the holes in the main line that we're not going to plug, that we're going to actually use and hook drip tape back up to them, I just made me a little line right there in the dirt so I can run a straight line with my wheel hoe and get this tape buried. So let me make a furrow and let's lay this tape down in the furrow. So we got our furrow made, we got our tape laid back down in the furrow, emitters facing upwards towards the sun as always, got that hooked up. But before we inflate those lines with water and cover up that tape, let's put some good stuff down in that furrow. So as far as our amendments go for our FAD system, which stands for furrow, amend, and drip, we're gonna put some of our complete organic fertilizer in there, not a lot. Just a little bit as a pre-plant nutrient here for those guys. English peas don't need a ton of fertilizer. We'll put a little bit of this down in the furrow. And then we're gonna put some of this stuff right here, this inoculant. So a lot of people have been asking us to carry an inoculant, and we found one that was really easy to apply. So what an inoculant does, it provides beneficial bacteria to increase the nitrogen fixation ability for legume crops, peas, beans, things like that. Now, some inoculants, you have to mix them with water and kind of make a slurry and soak the seeds in that slurry. And we do have one of those on the site for bigger applications like doing 8 to 10 pounds of cover crops. But this one right here is granular, if I can get it open, which makes it really easy to apply. So you don't have to mix it with water, you just kind of sprinkle it in the furrow. Let me show you what it looks like here. So it almost looks like that pelleted chicken manure, that complete organic fertilizer. So just granular formulation there, and you just sprinkle it in the furrow before planting. Now, we've got two different sizes. We've got this little bag right here, and we've got a shaker can. This little bag right here is enough for a 35-foot row. These rows are 30 foot long. Hard to overdo it with this stuff, so I'm gonna just do one bag per 30-foot row here. I think the shaker can we have has enough for a 150-foot row. So if you're planting multiple rows of beans or peas, you want to get that larger size. We'll probably use the shaker can when we plant our field peas later this spring. So let's put some of that complete organic fertilizer in the furrow, some of this inoculant in the furrow, which is going to help our nitrogen fixation and should help our end yields on our peas. And before we cover our drip tape here with our high arch wheel hoe, I'm going to turn that water on for just a second to inflate those lines, because it's easier to cover that way. But we don't want to leave this water on for long, because those plants don't really need any extra water. It's pretty wet around here still. We'll turn on just a minute just to bury these lines, and we'll probably just hand water those peas to get them up. And I normally just plant these guys on a single row. So what I've done in the past is these two little mini furrows I've got right here. I put peas on one side and I put my T-post for my trellis on the other side. But I think I'm gonna try a double row this time. See how I like it. I know sometimes in the past I've done double rows of beans or stuff. You get a lot of foliage and it makes things more difficult to pick, but I'm gonna go for it this time. So we're gonna plant on both sides of the furrow there. And hard to plant these English peas too thick because they're going to be climbing, and your germination isn't always 100% with peas, so we're just going to kind of sprinkle them pretty liberally here in the furrow, and we'll come back and thin them later if we need to. And then we'll just take our handy dandy garden rake and just lightly cover these seeds here. Don't want to plant them too deep, and then we'll just turn it around and tamp them in the soil so we get some good seed to soil contact there. All right, we got them planted, and now we'll just see how it goes. If it gets really hot really quick and we don't have much of a spring, it might not go that well. If we can stay, you know, in the moderate range of temperatures, we might do pretty good. We'll just have to see. You can't ever hit a home run unless you swing hard. Sometimes you're gonna strike out, but sometimes you're gonna hit that home run. So we're giving it a try here. Hopefully we'll get us a nice harvest of English peas. Now, I'm not gonna put my trellis up right now. We are gonna trellis these. We always trellis English peas, but I'm gonna wait for them to come up a little bit so I can just keep it a little more clean and weeded in there while I'm waiting on those peas to start growing. So once they get up and going, I'll put some T-posts along the rows there, and I'm gonna use our Holder Nova trellis here, the 48-inch or 4-foot tall version. We'll use that to let them climb on. So we'll put that down the middle of that double row, and then the peas on either side of it can climb on it and grow vertically there, make them real easy to pick. And I'd be interested to hear from you guys out there. Do you have better luck growing English peas in the fall or in the spring? I know some of you that live up north where you have pretty moderate temperatures all summer, you grow them up there during the summer months. But down here it's too extreme to grow them in the summer. So English peas in the fall, English peas in the spring, or do you just have mixed results with both? I'll put some links below so you can head on over to our website and grab you some English pea seeds, some trellis netting, some inoculant, whatever you need to start growing some English peas this spring. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give me a big thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring that bell so you get notified every time we come out with a new video. And if you did enjoy this one, check out these other 2 videos right here. I think you'll really enjoy those as well. We'll see you next time.